2, 5. Writing the equation of a line. Writing the equation of a line. Now, this section I'm going to show differently than my labs in the textbook. There's three, I told you it was two main forms for linear equations. I told you had standard form and you had slope-intercept form. Well, another form is point-slope. But we don't really do point-slope because it's the slope formula derived, meaning the whole slope formula has y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It's a rendition of that formula. So it looks like it has a lot going on. And you do have to plug in a couple things, all right? So I've decided that I like to continue using the same formula that we were using to graph, which was y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. It just would make sense to me. Slope-intercept form, I'm just writing it so y'all understand what I'm saying. Y equals mx plus b. That's an equation, all right? It's the equation that you put your lines in to easily graph. Because in that equation, you know two things. You know the slope and you know the what? Y-intercept. Now in this section, I'm going to give you like some puzzle pieces. You got to make the equation based on the information I give you, all right? So let's take that last problem that we used for graphing. It said what? The point was 2, -3, and the slope was 1/2. I want you to come up with the actual equation for that. Because I didn't give you the equation. That's all I gave you when you graphed it. But now I want to show how I can take this point and that slope and make the equation for that line. Does everybody understand? So if I look at the slope-intercept form, there is a y, a m, a x, and a b. I'm looking at the variables. I have given you 3 numbers. I gave you a random point. A random point is made up of an x and a what? And a y. You have m. The thing that you don't have is who? B, which is the y-intercept. Does everybody understand? I didn't give that outright. Now, you might know what it is from the previous problem, but I didn't give it to you. You follow where I'm going with this? I gave you some random point, which you can use for x and y, and I gave you m. I did not give you the y-intercept, which is b. So I'm going to take these 3 points and plug it in to the slope-intercept form and solve for b, because that's what I'm missing. This will help me get my y-intercept, all right? So I'm going to take my form, and we know y is -3. It's just a random point. The y point that I gave was -3. Equals the m is who? 1/2. X is who? 2. And I bring down the plus b. Does everybody see? I'm plugging into the slope-intercept form just to find my b. So we're going to multiply this. You can type that in the calculator if you don't know what half of 2 is, which is 1. So you got -3 equals 1 plus b. And we know how to solve an equation. How you get b by itself, what you going to do to 1? Subtract it. So b equals -4. Isn't that the y-intercept that when I graphed it going to the left? Right here? It did cross at -4. Does it make sense? Now, all you have here are pieces, though. You don't have a quote-unquote equation. And you know an equation is made up of y, an equal sign, and an x. So now I got to plug in my information. What I mean by plug in, you need to take that M and the B and write your equation, though. Does everybody understand? The equation is going to be in slope-intercept form. So you're going to have y equals, what's the M? 1/2. You stick an X on it so we know it's M. And then you're going to say minus what? 4, because that's your B. When you write your answer, you don't turn around and plug that point back in for XY. You only used it to find B. Your final answer has to have Y and X in it by itself. Does that make sense? The only numbers you're plugging back in are that M and that B, the slope and the y-intercept. Does that make sense? And if I would have given you that equation, you would have graphed the exact same picture. Your first point would have been at what, -4? And we would go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Do you see that? But I started in 2-4. On that particular problem, I gave you a random point. But here, I want you to be able to take a random point and a slope and find that equation. Do y'all see that? Without graphing it. But I just wanted to let that connect because I just graphed that particular equation. Do y'all see what we're doing? Let's look at another one. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through a random point, 1, 3, but has a slope of -2. So 1, 3 is a random point on that line. I'm giving you the slope. You don't have B. Does everybody understand that? 1, 3 is not your y-intercept. That's just a random point. So you're going to take those 3 numbers, plug it in to find the B. Does everybody, that's the process. So your y random number is what, 3? M is who? -2. And the x random point is 1. Then I bring down my plus B. So we got 3 equals -2 plus B. And what are you going to do to get B by itself? Add 2. So your y-intercept, B is who? 5. But you can't finish there now. You got to write the equation. The full equation in slope-intercept form would be y equals what? -2x plus 5. Very good. Do y'all see that? Questions? No? Okay. Let's do another one. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 2, 4 and has a slope of 3. Random point that we're going to use with that M to find our B. So your Y point is 4 equals M, who is 3, and X, who is 2. So we got 4 equals 6 plus B. And what you going to do with 6? Subtract it. So B is -2. Very good. That's your y-intercept. But write your equation. It's going to be y equals 3x minus 2. Very good. Do y'all see that? Questions? No? Okay. Number 4. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -4, +3, and has a slope of 3/4. Take our 3 numbers, I'm plug them in. What's y? 3 was m. 3/4 was x. -4 plus b. Now, when you use your calculator, if you can't see what you're doing manually, you need to type that in fraction form, because that's going to be the key, because not all of your fractions right here are going to reduce to a whole number. So you need to be able to use that ABC key, all right? I would type in 3ABC4 and then hit times -4. Now, granted, this one is going to reduce, but my next one might not. So I want to make sure y'all can use that ABC button. Now, this one is just going to give you a -3. Good. Plus b, and then what you going to do to -3? Add it. So our y intercept is 6. What's that equation? Very good. Y equals 3/4x plus 6. Do y'all see that? Still okay? Bless you. All right, now let me do a side note here. What if I ask you to write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, has this slope, but write your answer in standard form, okay? The answers we're writing are in slope-intercept form. Y equals some number x plus or minus a number. If I ask you to write it in standard, though, does not mean I want you to solve it in standard. I want to see if you can transfer, if you can make it look like standard form, okay? So we know how to take standard form, that's what we was doing with the graphs, and put it in slope-intercept. That's easy. All you do is solve for y. But it's kind of like, now let's do the reverse. Now let's take slope-intercept form and put it back in standard, okay? So let me remind you of what standard form is. It's ax plus by equals c. Standard form has x and y on the same side. Standard form has to have x first, okay? Now, there's 2 other stipulations with standard form. One, it has no fractions. Standard form don't do fractions. And 2, that x term that's in front, it must be positive. In other words, since it's leading the equation, it's the first number of the equation, it can't be no negative number. It doesn't look good. Okay? So those are the 2 things you got to keep in mind about standard. If you got a slope-intercept form equation and it has a fraction, my first step is I got to get rid of the fraction. Then the next step would be, okay, to move x in front. When I move x in front, if it is negative when I move it, I got to deal with that negative, which means I'm going to change everybody's sign. I'm going to divide a negative off of everybody, which eventually changes everybody, okay? So let's take that last answer. We had y equals 3/4x plus 6. And let's put it in standard form. So it has a fraction. So my first rule is I got to get rid of the fraction. How do I clear out fractions? Multiply all your terms by 4. Very good. Because that's only the denominator you have. You don't have to get a common one. That's all you got. So use what you have. We're going to use 4, and we're going to multiply all terms by 4. Very good. Now that's going to give us 4y equals, now the reason you multiplying it by that fraction is so the bottom would disappear. Does that make sense? So that just leaves you with 3x. If you did 4 times 3, that's 12, but when you divide it by 4, you still got 3. Does everybody understand that? Or type it in your calculator if you don't see that's 3. Plus 6 times 4 is 24. So I have satisfied the first condition. Now I don't have no fractions. Now the second x term must be positive. I now need to move x. I need to stick it where it looks like standard form. So that means this x term needs to move over in front of the 4y. Does that make sense? But when I pick it up and move it, it's going to be a what? A negative. Go ahead and write it, and then we're going to deal with it. So you got negative 3x plus 4y equals 24. Now I got to deal with that thing having a negative on the front, which I'm just going to divide everything by -1. You're going to take it off. You're going to divide off -1. Does that make sense? Or multiply by -1 if you want to say it that way. That just means I changed the what? Signs. You change the signs. So that's going to give us a positive 3x. What type of 4y? Negative. And what type of 24? Negative. Then you're done. That's the same equation. It's just in standard. This is standard form. Okay? I want to make sure I gave you an example of how to go from slope-intercept to standard. Questions? No? Okay, number 5. Write the equation of a line that's going through the point -5, +4, and has a slope of -3/2. So we still are missing B. So we're going to take these 3 numbers, plug it in to find B. So Y would be 4 equals M is -3/2 and X is -5. Okay? Now, this time, your fraction does not reduce to a whole number. So I don't want decimals. I want you to keep it in a reduced fraction form. It needs to be improper, not mixed. You don't want a whole bunch of junk. You just want one fraction, top and bottom. What would that give you? 15/2. Good. Positive 15/2. So if you don't see that, you need to make sure you get comfortable using that calculator. That I would type in -3 ABC 2 times -5. And when you hit equals, if it gives you 7 1/2, which is a mix, you need to hit second ABC to tell the computer, the calculator, flip it. And it will flip it to an improper. Does that make sense? Now, what we're going to do to get B by itself? Subtract 15 over 2. And again, I'm typing this in the calculator. 4 minus 15 ABC2. And when I hit equal, you might need to hit second ABC to flip it. What will it give you? -7 over 2. Very good. Does anyone need help with putting that in the calculator? You're going to need that ABC button. Okay? What's our equation? Very good. Y equals -3 over 2, 7 over 2. And I'm not asking you to graph these, but you can have fractional intercepts. That's possible. We just try to graph all the nice, pretty ones. Questions? Okay. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point -7, +11, and has a slope of -1/4. Okay. We got 11 equals -1/4 times -7. Plus B. And when you multiply, try to make sure you get a little practice with these fractions. -1/4 times -7 makes a what? Positive what? 7/4? Good. And then what are you going to do with 7/4? Subtract. (37 over 4). Do y'all see that? Those that's actually working with me with the calculator. I want to make sure y'all can get these fractions using that ABC button. 11 minus 7ABC4. You use the ABC button for the division line. And when you hit equal, see that's 44. That one you shouldn't have to you might have to flip it. Yeah, because it's going to give you probably improper. Give you a mix. And you hit second ABC, and it should give you 37 over 4. Questions? What's my equation? Y equals? Plus 37 over 4, good. Y equals -1/4 x plus 37 over 4. Still okay? All right, let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 9, 8, and the slope is 0. Huh?
This is spider crawling around. Sorry.
We just got off. Going through the void, 9-8, and the slope is 0. You put your pencil down. Why? What's the answer? Okay, B equals 8. So what's the equation? Huh? Y equals 8. Very good. Did y'all see me write anything that says 0x? Did I write anything that has 0x on it? Because keep in mind your slope is attached to x. Did you ever see me do 0x is what I'm asking? No. So if the slope is 0, that needs to register that who has 0 slopes? Who has 0 slopes? Horizontal lines. Good. Horizontals are the y only. So if I gave you just, that's the only y I have. Does that make sense? It's gotta be that line that's going through that y, because if it's 0, all the y is gonna be the same. Does everybody understand me? It's horizontal. Horizontal lines have a 0 slope. You just need to know that means whatever the y coordinate is, that's my equation. Y equals 8. I shouldn't have to plug in 0 to see that. Now, what if I said, write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -11, 3, and the slope is undefined? Very good. X equals -11. That's a vertical line. All vertical lines have an undefined slope. And I want you to see that with undefined, you can't plug it in. You're going to have to know. 0, you can plug in and you're going to get the same number that I gave you. But you're going to have to know your specials. Do you follow me? If I say undefined, the only thing that should be flashing in your face is x's. That's an X only line. She's talking about a vertical line. The only X point is -11 because it has to go through that line, that point. It's on this line. Does it make sense? These are our two special ones, which you shouldn't have to do any work for. You're going to have to know. If I say 0, I'm talking about the Y. And if I say undefined, I'm talking about the X. Does it make sense? Questions? Okay. Number 9. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 8, -1, and 4, 3. Now this time I didn't give you 1 point. I gave you 2 points. But I didn't say M equals this. So what are you going to have to do first? Very good. Find the slope. Gabe, you got to do a little work. A little extra. Because I didn't say M equals this little number. I gave you 2 points. So we've talked about that at the beginning of 2-4, finding slope. Very simple. You just want to find it. Does everybody understand? We're going to take that slope formula, which is nothing but subtract your y's over your x's. So we're going to plug that in. That's going to give -1 minus 3 on top. And 8 minus 4 on the bottom, which will give us -4 over +4, which reduces to who? -1. Now that's just M. Okay, now you don't have no equation. We just had to do a little leg work to get M. M is -1. I probably shouldn't put no box around it, but M is -1. Now, what you need to do? Hmm. 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 Oh, you want to pick the positive pair and do what?
Plug it in for like 4/3 when y equals 3. Would you plug that in?
Okay, to find your
The y.
the y-intercept. You can. Now, does it matter? She want to pick the positive point. Does it matter what point you pick? No, it doesn't matter. If you want to use the positive, use the positive. If you want to use the first one, 8, -1, it doesn't matter because both of these points on the same line. Okay? But don't mismatch the points. You follow me? Don't play mismatch. Get y from this one and x from that one. You got to use one actual point. And your M to find your B. Okay? See, I'm still doing the same stuff I was doing on the last ones. I just had to find my M first. Did I understand? So now we're getting ready to plug in to y equals mx plus b. And because this is my first example, I'm going to show both. Now you don't, but I just want to prove a point that it does not matter which point you use. If I was to use 8, -1, my y would be -1, my m is -1, and my x is 8. If I multiply, that makes a -8. And when I move it to be added to the other side, that's going to give me a positive what? 7. If I use 4, 3, where my y is 3, m's -1, and x is 4, that's going to give me -4. And then what am I going to do with -4? Add it. And I still get b being what? Positive 7. That's what I'm showing you. It don't matter which one you use. Now, you don't have to do both. I was just showing it for this example. Does that make sense? The y-intercept is 7 regardless, because these points on the same line, if you're going to use the slope of -1. Does that make sense? So our equation would be y equals -1x plus 7. Or you could just say -x plus 7, right? It's the same. Those are the same things. So does everybody see? That one had just a little bit more work to it because you had to actually find the what? Slope. Still okay? Okay. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -1, positive 3, and 3, 4. Again, I'm going to have to find the what? Find the slope. So that's going to give us 3 minus 4 on top and -1 minus 3 on the bottom, which that's a -1 over -4, which just reduces to a what? A positive 1/4. Does everyone see that? Your M is positive 1/4. And then we do what? Pick a point, plug it into the formula. Which point y'all want me to show? 3, 4. Keeping it positive. My y is 4. My m is 1/4. And my x is 3. So when you multiply, that's going to stay a fraction. That's going to be 3 what? Over 4, 3/4. And what are you going to do with 3/4? Subtract it. And 4 minus 3/4. Three halves. 13 halves. 13/4, I mean. Anybody else type it in? Come on. I'm waiting on you. Thirteen fourths. Everyone see that? Good. And so our equation would be y equals 1/4x plus 13/4. Very good. Questions? Those okay? All right. Number 11. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 3, -2. What does that symbol mean? Parallel. Very good. Parallel. When you see the two slanted lines, that means parallel. Parallel lines never what? Cross, intersect, touch. Okay? Now, I'm asking you to write the equation that's got to hit that point. That means that point is on the line I want, 3, -2. But it's parallel to this line, 2x minus y equals 5. That's a whole nother line. If I'm telling you about two lines being parallel, now look at what we've been doing. Doing the same stuff. I still need to write an equation. What would be the purpose of me telling you parallel to a line? There we go. They got the same slope. Very good. In order for them to move the same, because they're parallel, they're never going to cross, they got to have the same slope. Does everybody understand that? So I only need that line for the slope. That's all. I don't need nothing else from it. I don't need to graph it. I don't need to know the y-intercept. I just need to know the slope. Does everybody understand that? So you can solve for y, because that's in what, standard form? You can solve for y, but there is a formula for finding the slope when you're in standard form, because that's all I need. Does everybody understand? I don't need nothing else. The formula for finding the slope in standard form is minus a over b. Minus a over b. Now you got to remember what a and b stand for in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So a is the number on x, b is the number on what? Y. Does everybody understand that? A and b come from that standard form setup. Okay? So if we use minus the a number, that would just be minus 2 on top, right? Over our b number, which is an understood -1. Right? So -2 over -1 reduces to what? 2. That's the slope of that line, it's 2. Does everyone see what I just did? If not, there's no harm in solving for who? Y, if you need to. Does everybody understand? I'm just showing you a quicker way. If you put that equation in slope-intercept form, means you subtract your 2, then you got to divide by negative what? 1. Do you see you still going to get 2 as your slope, because that's what's on x. So either way is fine. It's just that when students start solving, you might stop here and forget you ain't done nothing but found slope. Do you follow me? That has nothing to do with this point. That's the problem. Does that make sense? This is just a little extra. So I always have to tell students, mark that out if they're going to solve it for slope-intercept form, because you don't need nothing else from it but that slope. Now you're going to do what we've been doing on the other ones. Now that you know what M is, and you got the random point that's on the line you need, you're going to take those numbers and plug it in to find the y-intercept for your line. Does it make sense? We still don't know B. I want to make sure that's clear. So you're going to say -2 equals the M is going to be what, 2? And what, X is 3? So that's going to give -2 equals 6 plus B. And we do what with 6? Subtract it. So B is -8. Do y'all see that? So what's your parallel equation? What's the equation for this line? Very good. Y equals 2x minus 8. Does everyone see that? That other equation I gave you it doesn't mean anything for your answer. You just had to see what the slope was. Does everybody understand that? Parallel means same slope. Okay? Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -1, +4, and it's parallel to x plus 3y equals 5. So our very first step is figuring out the slope for that equation, right? And I'm going to use the formula minus a over b. And that would be a -1/3. Does everyone see that? That's the slope. Slope is -1/3. So I'm going to take my point and the parallel slope, and I'm going to plug it into y equals mx plus b to find the b. So y is what, 4? M's -1/3. X is -1 plus b. And so that would give us 4 equals 1 +1/3 plus b. And then what we're going to do? Subtract 1/3. (11 over 3). Very good. Y'all see that? So our parallel equation would be good. Y equals -1/3 x plus 11/3. Do y'all see that? Questions? Okay. Write the equation of a line that's going through the point 1, 6. And what does that symbol mean? Perpendicular. Good. That's perpendicular. That's perpendicular. Now, perpendicular lines do what? They intersect, they cross, they intersect. They actually intersect and create a perfect 90-degree angle, but you don't need to know all that. But they cross perfectly, okay? Now, so I'm still dealing with slope. Y'all do understand that? Parallel means the same. What do you think perpendicular means if I'm crossing them? Perfectly. Opposite reciprocal, good. What that means, in my terms, opposite sign, reciprocal means flip it. Okay? So whatever his slope is, if it's positive, you gotta have a negative. If he's negative, you gotta have a positive. That's opposite. And then you flip it. If it's 2/3, you need 3/2. You follow where I'm going with this? So we still gotta find the slope. Y'all see? I still gotta know what it is, so I can take the opposite reciprocal. Okay? So the slope of this line still is negative A over B. It's going to be negative, what, 3/5? That's his slope? Everybody understand that's his slope? His slope? So the slope I need, the perpendicular slope, is going to be what? 5/3. Positive 5/3. Does everybody understand that? Opposite side, he's negative, you need a positive, and flip it. And then we do the same thing all over again. We got to take the point, plug it in to find B. Does everybody understand that? So that gives us 6 equals our M, who's 5/3, and X, who's 1. Bless you. We're going to subtract it. Once you plug in your point, your M, solve for B, and that's going to give us who? 13/3. Good. 13/3. So what's our equation? Y equals 5/3x plus 13/3. Awesome. Do y'all see that? Questions? Still okay? Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -2, 0, and it's perpendicular to 8x minus 3y equals 7. So we find that slope. -8 over -3 reduces to 8/3, right? But that's his slope. I need the perpendicular slope, which would be a what? Good, -3/8. Does everybody see that? Opposite reciprocal. Opposite sign and flip it. Okay? So now we take this good information, find B. We got 0 equals -3/8 times -2 plus B. So when you multiply that, that's going to give you a reduced fraction of what? 6 over 8, but it reduces to what? 3/4. Make sure y'all use that calculator, okay? 3/4. 6 over 8 is going to reduce to 3 over 4. And then what are we going to do with 3/4? Subtract it. So if the number is 0, 0 minus 3/4 is just negative 3/4. Right? And so what would our equation be? Y equals negative 3 over 8x minus 3/4. Very good. Questions? No? Questions with parallel and perpendicular? Okay. Let's write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point -7, +8, and it's parallel to y equals 2. Write the equation that's going through the point -7, +8, and it's parallel to y equals 2. It's zero slope. Huh? Okay. I want the equation. Y'all saying the right things? We're going to give you an equation. Why you say y equals 2? That's what I put up there. You gonna give me the equation of the one I gave you? It's going through this point, and it's parallel to y equals 2. Thank you, sweetheart. Y equals 8. Y'all's fishing around at it, but come on. You told me it's got a zero slope. That's true. You told me I need two horizontal lines. That's true. So what's the horizontal line can be? It got to go through that point. We talked about this when I gave you the point and I said the slope was 0. These are supposed to be the easy ones. If I'm telling you it looks like a horizontal line, then it's got to be a horizontal line. Does that make sense? Parallel means it's moving the same way as y equals 2. So if it's going through that point, the y of that point is 8. Do y'all agree? Oh, Jesus. Write the equation of a line that's going through the point 9, -12, and it's parallel to x equals 2. Huh? I just didn't hear you. X equals 9. Y'all be acting like y'all scared. X equals 9. I gave you a vertical line this time. I want to go through that point, but look like x equals 2. X equals 2 is vertical. So I need another vertical line. Does everybody understand that? Vertical means x. The x coordinate is 9. Do y'all see this? This ain't hard now. Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point 13, 10, and it's perpendicular to y equals 2. I probably didn't hear you. Let me all get closer.
No, I didn't say y equals negative 10.
Y equals negative 10. Where you get that from?
Uh,
Y equals negative 1/2. Where you get that from? And you telling me stuff, you gotta be able to tell me where you getting it from. Okay, so are you giving me their explanation? Because they gave me two different equations. Or you finna give me another equation? She said, I'm not about to give you an equation. So you explain it for one of them. Lord. I take what you said. You said cross?
Yeah.
Okay, I take that.
y equals negative. Never mind.
Come on, y'all. It's not hard. It's hard here. I know it is hard here. I might need to prop the door. You really are. I can open that door back there.
Would it be, I'm probably wrong, but y equals negative 2? Does that mean it or no?
Y equals negative 2?
Yeah.
Tell me why. Oh my Jesus. Y'all are telling me something, they can't tell me why you telling me that. Why are you saying what you're saying?
Well, because it's a perpendicular, and you said before that it's perpendicular, it's going to cross. And then when it crosses, it's going to be the opposite of that original number.
Lovely. What's that point? 1310. Did I give y'all 1310? Okay. So 1310 would be like here somewhere. Do y'all agree? Yes? Okay. And I gave you the line y equals 2. Is that what I gave you? And y'all do know that's a what line? Horizontal line. Okay. Now I'm asking you to give me the equation that has to hit that red dot, but if it's going to be perpendicular, it's going to do what to that blue line? It's got to cross it, right? Right? Okay. So, how am I going to cross that line and hit that point? Okay, tell me how. What type? What am I? How am I going to do that? So what does that mean?
X equals
Oh, Jesus. He said it's got to be undefined. The only way you're going to hit that red dot and go across that blue line is to make a vertical line. Right? That's what's going to make it be perpendicular. Okay? They got to cross. Wasn't trying to make this hard. I was wanting y'all to think what you really are flipping. Y'all was changing signs of points, but you never touched on the slope. Okay? Keep in mind when we do perpendicular, we are flipping and taking the opposite of the slope, right? Okay. If I gave you y equals 2, his slope is what? 0. Do you understand that? His slope is 0. Which means 0 had to be on the top. Y'all follow me? So if I flip it, because you can't do the opposite with 0. 0 is either just 0. It's not positive nor negative. But if you flip it, that means 0 is going to go to the what? Bottom. Which means undefined. Which means I got to give the equation for an undefined slope. That's what you're flipping. Y'all wasn't flipping. Don't be changing these numbers to be negative and positive. You got to flip the slope. Does everybody understand that? So the equation would be x equals 13. Because that's really that green line that's going to go through that dot and cross y equals 2. Does that make sense? That's going to be x equals 13. Y'all follow me? Oh, Jesus. What number was that? 17? Write the equation of a line that's going to go through the point, -3, +5, and is perpendicular to x equals 2. Y'all should be spitting it out now.
Michael, no mind, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
Y equals 5.
Y equals 5. Very good. Y equals 5. So this is what I'm saying in my terms, okay? If you don't even see the whole let me flip the slopes, you got to give, when I'm giving you these special lines, you ain't got but two, a vertical and a horizontal, x and a y. If I'm saying perpendicular, you got to give me the opposite variable. You got to give me the other variable. It can't be the same variable. So if I'm saying perpendicular to an x line, you got to give me the y. Does that make sense? If I say perpendicular to a y line, you got to give me the x. You follow me? Because they got to cross, so they got to be the opposite variable to cross. Does everybody understand where I'm going with that? If I say parallel to x, you got to give me the same, an x. If I say parallel to y, you got to give me y. Parallel's the same. So if I'm talking about with these special ones, because these are easy. You don't want to don't miss these now, because this is just you knowing same versus opposite. If I say parallel to a x line, then your answer has to be an x line. If I say parallel to a y line, then your answer has to be a y. Now, if I say perpendicular, you got to give me the opposite. If I say x, you say y. If I say y, you say x. Questions?